The New York Giants were widely believed to be the worst team in football this year. I know the Titans and Browns have the number 1 and 2 overall picks, but the Giants were really bad this year on both sides of the football. And today we are going to be doing a 7-round Giants mock draft to try and fix this franchise. They're bringing back general manager Joe Shane. They're bringing back head coach Brian Daboll. I think those are the right moves at the end of the day. Daboll did win a playoff game with this team. Daboll did win with Daniel Jones. What can he do with the quarterback of his choice, presumably, and what can he do to help fix this franchise? That's what we are going to be attempting to do in today's video. This is not an easy task. This roster has a ton of holes, but I think I got a game plan going into this one, and I'm very excited for it. If you guys are new, we are doing a 7-round mock draft for all 32 NFL teams. We are going in draft order. I had some comments on the last one about, can I do a Packers one? Can I do a Commanders one? Yes, I will be doing those ones, but they will be coming at a later date as we go through in order. So we've done the Titans and we've done the Browns thus far. And we took Cam Ward, number 1, and we took Abdul Carter, number 2. So we're sitting here at number 3 for the Giants, and we've got Shedeur Sanders on the board. There's a lot of different ways that we could go with this one. My last plug here, if you guys wouldn't mind, be sure to hit that link down in the description below to check out my Patreon page. There, you guys will get full access to my draft guide with over 500 prospects, scouting reports, advanced metrics, all of the information you guys will need to know, combine numbers, Senior Bowl stuff, everything you guys need for draft season for only $5 a month. It's some of the best work I've put together. And if you guys want to get familiar with more of these draft prospects, see where I have them on my radar, be sure to check that out. But we're sitting here at number 3 for the New York Giants. And we mentioned that the quarterback is on the board that I think a lot of Giants fans are going to be wanting. And that's Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback out of Colorado. Now, I got into it a little bit with Colorado fans earlier this week. When I moved Shedeur Sanders down my draft board, he's an interesting watch. If you watch him on film, I don't think he's a bad quarterback. He is an incredibly accurate quarterback. I think he is one of the best decision makers in this draft class. He had an adjusted completion percentage of 82% in 2024, 73.4% completion at 37 touchdowns, 4,000 yards this year. He was really good for for Colorado this year. The areas that I worry about with Shedeur Sanders, it's the arm talent, because I don't think he really has this elite arm. My other concern with Shedeur Sanders is he holds on to the ball for way too long. He runs around waiting for plays to develop that just don't ever develop. I still think he is a good quarterback, and he probably will be a top 5 pick because of the accuracy. I think he brings a level of confidence to a quarterback room that is looking for some confidence. They're looking for a leader in this locker room that they just haven't had in a very long time. I think Shedeur Sanders can be a franchise quarterback. And when you give him a head coach like Brian Daboll, who did a great job at developing Josh Allen, I think this is the right situation. He's got Malik Neighbors to throw him the ball. We've got to get him more help. That's going to be the main focal point of today's videos. Get the quarterback some help. But I think here at number 3 overall, Shedeur Sanders is here. The Giants are without question going to be going quarterback. And I think Shedeur Sanders is clearly the best one on the board. And that's the route we're going to be going for the Giants. All right, I'm very curious to see how Giants fans react to this, but we are going to be moving back in this class. This is a good board. I like the way it fell. I think we can get more value. I want to get an offensive lineman. There wasn't an offensive lineman really worth taking here at number 34. I think we get better value at 54, but we're also picking up number 74, an extra 3rd-round pick, and we're flipping 153 for an extra 4th-round pick. I think this is a really good move. So we would now have 3 4th-rounders, and we would have 2 3rd-rounders. So I'm going to make this trade back, just move back 20 spots, which is a big package to get, but we are getting extra draft capital that I think help us right away. All right, here on the clock at number 54, this is why I wanted to move back, and this pick might not be available on draft night, to be completely honest. I think he just got a Senior Bowl invite. He is getting a lot of pre-draft hype. We're looking at Armand Mimbu out of Missouri. Now, they have him listed as an interior offensive lineman here. Played right tackle this past year from Missouri, and I think he has a lot of versatility. He's 6'3", 314 pounds, exceptional length. Thought he was a really good athlete, moved particularly well in the run game. I thought he showed incredible athleticism to climb to the second level. They could use him as a puller in space. Showed good footwork, change of direction, good anchor, and he's a physical player. He gets nasty. I love that about the interior offensive lineman. The Giants need to upgrade at right tackle. There's no getting around that. That's just something that they need to do. And I think Armin Mimbu gives them an instant upgrade there at the right tackle position, but he also could kick inside to play guard. He has had some concerns about disengaging too early on the outside, maybe getting his feet set against power, which has been a big issue for him throughout his career. Either way, I think you were getting an instant impact starter on the offensive line. Shedeur Sanders had a bad offensive line at Colorado. This can't be the same situation for him in New York. You've got to upgrade. You got Andrew Thomas. You've got Jermaine Illuminor, at least for one more year. I like the idea of getting Armin Mimbu, maybe moving him to right guard, and he can start there right away for you. I think he's an instant starter on this offensive line and much needed help for Shedeur Sanders. He's going to be my pick here at number 54. All right, on the clock here at number 65, I think the Giants need to really look to address the cornerback position. Deonte Banks was a player that they drafted in the first round just a couple of years ago, and he really hasn't developed into the type of player that they were hoping he would be. He's not been bad, but he hasn't been this elite lockdown corner. And I like Andrew Phillips, but I think he is probably a slot-only guy. Wasn't a guy that I was super in love with on draft night when they took him. So I think corner is a position that they could take. I was looking at Zy Alexander from LSU. He's getting a lot of pre-draft hype coming off a really good season. Unfortunately, he's off the board. So which corner do I think makes a little bit of sense? Darian Porter, I love. I just don't think the value is there. And I just don't think he'll be on the board here at 65. I know he's at 68 here. I've got a second-round grade on him. Just don't think this is realistic. The player that I am looking at, though, is Denzel Burke out of Ohio State, a player that was getting early first-round consideration before the first Oregon game, and then he kind of fell down draft boards. I think Denzel Burke is a good corner. He's still 20 years old. He's 6'1", 190 pounds, the typical size that you look for. He shows good speed down the field. He's got good feel in zone, fluid hips, is a good playmaker. I don't think he's the hardest hitter in the world. He has gotten burned a lot in college, and his long speed, it's not amazing. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's not necessarily elite. I think this is a good value here for the Giants, though. Number 65 overall, you get a potential guy that was getting first-round buzz just earlier this season. I don't think he's fallen off that much. He's had some bad games here. I've got him around this range. He's my number 16 corner in the class. I think he's a good player, that this is a really good spot where you could go get a starter. I think he makes a lot of sense for the Giants, so we're going to take him at number 65. Another trade came across my desk that I absolutely love. We're turning a seventh-round pick here at 245, excuse me, and we're going to be moving it to move up. The Jets want to move from 96 to 74. They're willing to give us 109. We'll give them 245. The deal, pretty even across the board. I think yes, we move back, but we get an extra fourth rounder. So we would now have 4 fourth-round picks in here. I think this is a really good spot for us to be in. I'm going to make this move. All right, back on the clock here at number 96, and I like the way the board is. I don't love it. I was looking for a receiver. Darius Slayton's a free agent. Outside of Malik Neighbors, this team just didn't feel like they had any weapons that I could consistently trust them to go to. A player that I was looking at that's starting to really separate himself and has moved up my board pretty considerably is Texas wide receiver Matthew Golden. He is off the board now, so now I'm kind of looking to pivot a little bit, and honestly, it's good value. I want a bigger type of receiver here. I like Jalen Royals a ton. I like Savion Williams. Kyron Lacey, I don't want to touch that right now. Torrey Horton, as well as a player that I like. I'm actually looking at Caden Prather out of Maryland. I think this is a player that is flying way under the radar in a good receiver class. He's 6'4", 212 pounds. I think he's got exceptional size. Might need to add on a little bit more weight sitting there at 212. But he is a guy that has speed to win down the field. He has really improved in the contested catch areas. He's got incredible hands. He can separate out of his routes. This is a player I really, really like, and I think could be a good receiver at the next level. Kind of got overshadowed by Ty Felton, but for the Giants and kind of what they need in this receiving room, I think Caden Prather is a really good fit. I would take Kyron Lacey if it wasn't for the ongoing lawsuit and all of that stuff going on. I think he would be a good fit. But I think Caden Prather is a player I actually like more than Lacey, and I think has a very similar skill set to what they need. So I'm going to take him at 96. I think he's a really nice number 2, maybe a number 3 potentially, but a guy that can play on the outside and be a ball winner. All right, here at number 104, I like the edge value here. I think there's a lot of guys that could be pretty good contributors here. It's such a good edge class. You got Deni Dennis Sutton. Well, Braden Swinson here, I just don't think will be on the board. He's getting a lot more hype. I'm lower on Swinson than a lot of people. This is around the range I would take him, but I just don't think it's realistic. Deni Dennis Sutton is a guy that I have around this range as well. I think he's a good fit, but I think he's a bit of a clunky mover, and there are a couple of guys here that I have ahead of him. Not a big Fadil Diggs guy. Tyler Barron is a player that I really, really like. This guy's just an absolute monster. He's got incredible speed off the edge, versatility to play all over the defensive line. He is a bit slim at 260 pounds, 6'5", but I love his athleticism. Another player that I absolutely love the athleticism on is Savion Jones, the other LSU edge rusher. Senior Bowl guy, really raw pass rusher, struggled to wrap up consistently, but freakish size, 6'6", 280 pounds, hard hitter, could play all over the defensive line. I think right now I'm kind of between Tyler Barron or Antoine Powell-Ryland and Savion Jones. And I'm leaning towards Savion Jones for the simple fact that I think he could play a little bit more in a lot of different defenses for you. I like Tyler Barron. I think he kind of fills that Azeez Ojulari spot a little bit better. But Savion Jones is a guy that I think I would trust to play a little bit more all over my defense. This is a tough one. I have Tyler Barron higher on my board. I think I'm going to go with Tyler Barron ultimately. I love the athleticism. I love the speed, the bend, and I think he fills a need that they have with Azeez Ojulari being a free agent. So we're going to take him here at 104. All right, back on the clock at number 109. I know we went Armand Membu earlier in the class, but I think offensive line is so important for this Giants team to address because you saw it last year. When Andrew Thomas goes down, they don't have anybody, it doesn't feel like. I like Jermaine Illuminor. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and even he dealt with some injuries this past year. Evan Neal, I think, is a lost cause at this point. They tried to move him inside. Nothing has really worked for them. Membu can play right tackle. We mentioned my plan is to kick him inside to guard. And so in that case, we need a right tackle right now, or even just a guy that could be a swing tackle for you right out the gate. There's some good tackles here on the board. I like Chase Lunt a lot from UConn, 299 pounds, but just an incredible run blocker in space. But we are going to look at a Johnny Cornelius. This is around the range where I could see a Johnny Cornelius being taken. I've got him a little bit lower than this, but he's 6'5", 308 pounds, another Senior Bowl guy. He's a pretty athletic player. He gets to the second level with quickness. He does a great job at finishing the blocks. He's really power, shows good footwork in pass protection, good hand placement. He's a guy that I think is going to be a really good developmental tackle here. And at 109, this is a great swing. He's not perfect. You go back, watch the Utah game last year. He got beat by Jonah Ellis a lot. Thought he took some bad angles. He overextended way more than I would like to see. Had his struggles against Abdul Carter earlier in this bowl season. But I do think he is a player that is worth taking an investment on here at number 109 because what he brings in the run game, he shows some nice developmental upside and pass protection, and you need offensive tackle. It's just, you have to have it, and they haven't really gotten a lot of consistency out of that position. So I'm going to take him here at number 109 and try and develop him into my right tackle of the future. At number 113, this is a player that I've been wanting to take for the last 2 mock drafts because I think he is one of the more underappreciated defensive linemen in this class, and that is going to be Virginia Tech's Aeneas Peebles. Now, he's sitting down here at 152. I've got a 4th-round grade on him, and where do I have him on my big board? He's currently sitting at number 132, so not too much of a reach here, in my opinion. I think he will go in the 4th round. The big concern with a lot of people is going to be his size. He's 6'1", 290 pounds, but he is an incredibly explosive athlete. He's got a quick first step, matches that with good speed to get into the backfield. this guy just shows the ability to win as a pass rusher up front. Got really active hands. He's graded out incredibly well each of the last 2 years at both Duke and Virginia Tech. He can defend the run, but thrives as a pass rusher. And next to Dexter Lawrence, this is the type of player I think you're looking for. Dexter Lawrence is going to take on a lot of double teams. You need a guy that I think can get one-on-one matchups, can win those battles and get into the backfield. Peebles can do that. Now, he isn't the most powerful player in the world. Had some missed tackles in the run game. The change of direction is inconsistent, but this is a player I absolutely love. Got the privilege of interviewing him this offseason. I think he is just going to continue to rise up board. Another Senior Bowl guy that I think a lot of people are really going to like. He fits this Giants culture, what they want to do on the defensive line. I think this is a no-brainer pick for me. I'm going to take him at number 113. At number 134, I'm looking at linebacker. I think it's a sneaky need for this Giants team because Micah McFadden's a free agent next year. I believe they've got another impending free agent this year at the linebacker position. They haven't gotten like a ton of elite play from this linebacker group outside of Bobby Okereke. So I'm looking to go get another linebacker, and I kind of want to take a high upside guy. Carson Schlesinger is getting so much hype right now. I think he's going to be a day 2 pick at this point. So it's kind of like, which other players do I think could be really good? And I know it's a little bit low on the consensus board, but this is a guy that I have as a 4th round grade and my number 120 overall prospect. And that's going to be Jyshawn Barham out of the University of Michigan. He is a transfer that came over from Maryland this past year. Really good athlete in the open field. He's 6'3", 248, but I thought he was a really good mover for his size. Had quickness, speed, kind of the whole 9 yards there. Great run defender. Shot the gaps, came downhill very well. Thought you could use him as a blitzer. I thought he rushed the passer well. Showed some versatility to even take some snaps off the edge because he had active hands. Really good player. Great size. Maybe not the most fluid change of direction in the world. The coverage concerns are going to be slightly there, but as a run defending linebacker, as a guy that could be that weak side linebacker type of player for this team, I kind of love it for the Giants, to be totally honest with you. I think he has higher upside than some of these other guys. Like, I really like Cody Lindenberg, who's way down here at 338. I just don't think the value is there. I think the ceiling for Barham is much higher than it is for a guy like Lindenberg. Bryce Botcher as well is another player that I think could be a really interesting one. But I'm going to take a chance here on a guy that I really like. I've liked since the summer in Jyshawn Barham. All right, we're back on the board here at number 219. Some interesting pieces that we could look to take. I like tight end a little bit. I think that could be a real position that they could look to address here. They drafted Theo Johnson last year. It wasn't my favorite pick in the world. I just don't know if he brings a lot of upside as a receiving tight end. Granted, I just don't know what a lot of these guys do. A player that I am interested in, though, and I'm very curious to see what ends up happening, is RJ Maryland out of SMU. Great receiving tight end, was putting up incredible numbers for this team earlier this year before he ended up going down with injury. Curious if he's going to return back to school or come back. Either way, I kind of want to wait on tight end, and I'm going to look to go get another running back. Tyrone Tracy, excellent as a rookie. No notes there. I think you need more of that speedy back. Yes, you have Devin Singletary. He is not a long-term solution in that backfield. And a player that I'm looking at that I think fits that role kind of perfectly is Marcus Yarns out of Delaware. This is a player that has a very small build. There's no questions about that. 5'11", 183 pounds. A bit of an older prospect, comes from an FCS school, but this guy shows incredible vision. His open field speed is absolutely incredible. He could be utilized as a receiving back. He's got really good hands. I like what he brings out of the backfield. He's a nice change of pace to Tyrone Tracy, has exceptional speed, and this is a player that I think I would bet on being a good running back in the NFL. So I'm going to take him here at 219. Sitting here with the final pick of the mock draft, and the final pick of the draft for that matter, at number 256, I am looking for a safety, and I just think it kind of ends up working out pretty perfectly for New York. I'm looking to go get a 24-year-old safety from Colorado, and mostly to keep my quarterback happy. That's ultimately the deciding factor at the end of the day. I'm looking at Shiloh Sanders. Now, yes, this is Deion's other kid. This is Shedeur Sanders' brother. I thought he was a good coverage player. He is going to be 25 at the time of the draft. Not an amazing athlete, a pretty bad tackler, but he's a really good coverage player. I thought he played good in the slot. He played good single eye, showed some good football IQ, read plays pre-snap pretty well. The ball skills have been there. He's just a veteran safety that I think is kind of worth the investment here. While I'm not the biggest fan of him as a prospect, I do think whoever drafts Shedeur is probably going to end up taking Shiloh. There's just something to be said about the brothers here. I don't think anyone's going to take Shiloh other than this team. So I'm going to take Shiloh Sanders here at number 256, and he is going to be the final pick of the draft. All right, so there we have it for the 7-round New York Giants mock draft. We got our quarterback of the future. We took a couple of offensive linemen to help protect him. We drafted a nice receiver. We improved the secondary, and we got some pieces on the defensive line and Tyler Barron and Aeneas Peebles that I think could be real contributors in this pass rush. Would love to hear from you, though, Giants fans. What do you think? Do you guys like this mock draft? Do you not? Let me know what you guys would have changed, who you like, who you don't like. Leave a comment down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.